In the final days of this campaign, it couldn't be clearer that Donald Trump is losing. It's clear to me, it is clear to you, and it is clear to Donald Trump's own supporters because they are no longer showing up for him. And that was perfectly exemplified in Donald Trump's North Carolina rally today with a half-empty crowd, so quiet, so bored, and so out of it as Donald Trump was out of control, yelling at his crowd, screaming, being ridiculous, as we always expect, but much worse than ever today. And we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now let's get into this really weird, rambling start to Trump's speech right here.
Our #1 trading partner, and they're ripping us off left and right. It's ridiculous. They're not going to rip us off. They wanted $3 billion to meet with Biden. They wouldn't have said that with me. I would have said, oh, really? You want $3 billion to meet? I'd do the opposite. If you don't give us $3 billion, I'll impose the biggest frickin' tax. You know, I've never told you any of this, and I wanted to wait till the day because I don't want to have her. She's a low IQ individual. I don't want to have her say, you know, I had an idea last night while I was sleeping, turning, tossing, sweating. Because I sleep, I turn and I toss and I sweat. I sleep like no, I don't even sleep. You know, I've gone through 62 days without a day off. Every single day. Every single day. And you know what? She takes a day off every other day. Last week, she makes a terrible little, she has these press conferences that last for about 2 minutes, and then she takes the day off. You know, when you're running for the president of the United States and you want to do it because you have to fix the country, that's the way I'm doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I could beat the book.
So clearly a lot to unpack in that first bit, talking about how sweaty he is when he sleeps, which he doesn't do at all. And then he tries to say that it's Kamala Harris who's tired, who's not out on the campaign trail. And this is clearly projection from Donald Trump because he has done much fewer campaign stops than Kamala Harris in the last few days of this campaign. Kamala Harris is traveling all over the country today, and Donald Trump is really just flailing around, unable to even bring in a crowd, as we'll see in just a little bit. But it's clear why, because he's just rambling, saying weird stuff like this.
They have an app. Can you believe you call an app? You're now a drug trafficker or a human trafficker, and you say, ding, 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 hello? Where do I drop these people? Go about 7 miles up and then go a mile left and just drop them at the opening in the gate. Okay, can you believe this?
I don't even know if this is fear-mongering at this point. It's really just fantasy land that Donald Trump is living in, coming up with stories, coming up with attacks, trying to push weird messaging as a last-ditch effort to try to engage his base, which, like I said, is kind of just tired of him. And even when he tries to come up with these ridiculous threats to get them excited like this right here.
We have a new president in Mexico. Supposed to a very nice woman, they say. I haven't met her. And I'm going to inform her on day one or sooner that if they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country, I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America. And the reason I delayed that, you're the first ones I've told it to. Congratulations, North Carolina.
Tariffs for Mexico, to me, sounds a lot like Mexico paying for the wall. And we all remember how that worked out for Donald. And it seems like it reminded him of wanting Mexico to pay for the wall, which he failed to do because he decided to bring up how many miles of something he built. It wasn't wall, because of course Donald Trump can't speak anymore, but take a listen to what he had to say.
But even if the numbers were bad, I would still kiss it just equally. But those are the best numbers in the history of the border. And then look, it was like an Elon Musk rocket ship went up. they announced they were going to open the borders. I thought they were kidding. I built 200 miles of rail, and this is what Border Patrol wanted. I wanted to have...
Yes, Donald Trump built 200 miles of rail during his presidency. That's what he was doing to secure our border. Trump can't get through a sentence anymore, sometimes much less a word. He just can't communicate. He is out of control. It's so funny for him to be saying Kamala Harris is exhausted when he can no longer speak. And like I said, it's the reason no one is showing up to these rallies anymore, which just drives Donald Trump crazier, and then he loses it even more. We can see that, like I said, him being unable to speak right here.
Will they be able to? No, not for a long time. What about China? No. You know, we opened up Space Command. We did the whole thing. If we didn't do that, we'd be way, way behind. Space Force. You know, Space Force.
So the Space Command Donald Trump was referring to there was actually his Space Force. Again, his mind is blank. He's out of it. He is gone completely. He's tired. He's too old to be doing this. Donald Trump's still the oldest person ever to run for president. The media doesn't want to cover his cognitive decline anymore for some reason. It felt like we had a good week in which they did, and now they don't anymore. But maybe if we see a couple more clips like this today, they'll give it a little bit of attention.
I mean, we have a person in this room who was saved by Right to Try. We're a space-age drug. They're doing things, but it takes a long time to get them approved, or they cut it in half. I cut that time.
He is struggling to get through basic sentences, and when he does, they backfire. And when he actually gets them out, they bore his crowd. Last night, we saw people sleeping at Donald Trump's rally. It's the reason that they don't even show up anymore. Just take a look at how many empty seats there were at Donald Trump's North Carolina rally right here.
Hello, beautiful, beautiful North Carolina.
No one is showing up for Donald Trump anymore. His enthusiasm is down. Kamala Harris has all the momentum. She is leading in these final polls, and Donald Trump knows it. It's why he's angrier than ever. It's why he's lashing out more than ever. And it's why yesterday he said that he would be happy to see the media shut. And of course, then he had to have his Trump stooges try to cover for him. And they were failing to do so much like Donald Trump is failing on the campaign trail. And I want to check out an example of that, of Jim Acosta, a favorite on this show, calling out a Trump stooge for his defense of Donald Trump.
Detroit and so on. Lance, I do want to ask you about this comment that Trump made over the weekend. He said at a rally yesterday that he wouldn't mind if someone tried to shoot through the media to get at him. Let's play that moment.
I have this piece of glass here, but all we have really over here is the fake news, right? And to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news, and I don't mind that so much.
Your response to that, Lance?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Both sides do better when they stick to the issues. I mean, again, for the last month, I mean, I've talked about it on here. I wish he would stick to the issues.
It's not a both sides thing. I just want to, it's not a both sides
thing. It kind of is. I mean, let me. Yeah, look. You know how I feel about this, Jim. I say it time and again. I wish he would not say this type of thing. We've seen the Harris campaign amplify violent rhetoric with fascism, Nazis, and Hitler. They have. It's a fact over the course of the last month. So, again, I wish both sides would stick to not talking about this angry, violent rhetoric. I will want to point to, though, I think there's an interesting juxtaposition going on here with the Harris campaign. The Washington Post had a story over the weekend. You've seen her go positive here in the last 48 hours, and I think that's actually quite telling about where they're headed in this campaign, because the Washington Post had a story over the weekend which said her super PAC had been advising them for weeks that they needed to get off the attacks on Donald Trump, that the attacks about fascism and all that other stuff were not working. And I think that is a sign to me over the course of the last 24 hours that they know they still have work to do with some of the voters out there.
But Lance, that's not exactly what it said. They recommended that was part of what the super PAC was seeing. And if you actually, over the last couple of weeks, she hasn't particularly...
These are really just the most disingenuous and dishonest people. And great job by Jim Acosta pushing back. I feel like there's not enough hosts like him out there who are willing to check the Trump stooges who come on their show, call them out, and sometimes kick them off, which I'd like to see a lot more of. But like I said, Donald Trump lack of energy. Kamala Harris has all the energy, all the momentum, and that is so clear and obvious in this clip right here.
So Michigan, 2 days to go. You ready? You ready? In one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime, and we have momentum. It is on our side. Can you feel it? And we have the momentum because our campaign is tapping into the ambitions, the aspirations, and the dreams of the American people. Because we are optimistic and excited about what we can do together.
This is a closing message that people are excited about. This is a closing message that people are getting behind. And as you can see behind Kamala Harris, that was a pretty full crowd. Donald Trump really doesn't seem to have those anymore. He misses those days. Well, do you know what, Donald? Unfortunately, they are not coming back because we are not going back. And that was a part of one of the best clips of a closing message that I've seen so far from Tim Walz. I want to check it out right here.
And all of you, the older folks will get this, younger folks, trust me, there'll come a day. Someday you're going to be sitting on that porch. You're going to be in that rocking chair. And a little one's going to come up to you after been in school where they've been studying the 2024 election. And they're going to ask, when everything was on the line and the American experiment was on the line, and there was somebody running who asked to be a dictator and to overturn the Constitution and talk about using the military against our own people, what did you do to stop that from happening? And you're going to be able to say, every damn thing we could. Every damn thing we could.
We've got 1 day left to go, people. A little more than 24 hours to close this thing out. Let's give it our all. Let's give it everything we got. Let's keep fighting till the last possible second. And that's what we're going to be doing on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.